I'm known for playing World of Warships, and I sacrificed a lot of time in that game. But recently I've tried War Thunder Nave, and it felt strange. Something of a mix of a nostalgia from old World of Warships, but also something new. It's not better all across the board, but this kind of different feeling made me ask one bigger question. Is War Thunder Naval slowly becoming an alternative naval experience to World of Warships, and will it do the same thing to it as what War Thunder in general did to World of Warplanes and World of Tanks? Well, War Thunder is generally a pretty big game, however the naval aspect of it is still relatively small. So playing this game mode, you're gonna feel the queue times. But the matches themselves, they will feel much cleaner. Because there are no gimmicky ships, there are no submarines with homing torpedoes that turn matches into, well, I gotta go back to port because somebody clicked at me too many times. And what many players in World of Warships complain about the aircraft is actually dangerous, but it's still fast. If a pilot is good enough to reach you, well, even a near miss can basically end your ship. But it feels more and rather than purely scripted. I'm still relatively low tier in War Thunder. My highest ship right now is IGN for Attacker. But it feels much different in this game than in World of Warships. Because this ship actually has armor in this game. That actually feels like it's armor. Because it's not just pure, oh, I cannot be overmatched by Excalibur. No, I can tank multiple ships if I position well without having to dodge all of their shots. And it actually has its payoff. The ship itself has pretty good main battery guns, but it's not a typical AG spammer like in World of Warships. It actually has very good AP shells, the AP HEBC, which for the World of Warships players, the BC part is a little bit confusing. It's the ballistic cap. It's basically upgraded AP angles. And you know how much I love AP by my love of Des Moines and Petropavlovsk. Having 203s that pack a punch with AP shells is what I love, and this cruiser provides me with just that. It also gets manually control secondaries because every single ship in this game does. I can also control the AA guns if I want to, but there is no point in that. The torpedoes have much better angles because basically as much as you can turn your torpedo tube, that is your angle, not set like in World of Warships. And the other big difference between World of Warships Furataka and this Furataka gets 20-kilometer torpedoes. Why? Because that's exactly how they were in real life. Sure, the amount of ammo stored or the torpedoes stored is limited, but I can always just go to the cap and resupply if I need to. Very often I just don't really need to do that anyway. And there are so many little things that add up to all this immersion and creation of the whole naval spectacle that I would probably need a whole another video just describing them. To give you very few examples, the ships actually have access to shells that they had in real life. Like, imagine Lu Xun but with SAP, that's basically the Zogdevoy. They are not just flavor on the nation or specific ship, they are just the way you fight. It feels less like abilities, more like just tools that you have in your disposal. Also, just having ability to manually control every single armament on your ship makes this game so much immersive. Like, if you see a plane approaching you, you can just switch your main battery to proxy fuse if it's dual purpose main battery, and blast him to oblivion. You can select your AA gunners and shoot them manually if the automatic AA is just not good enough for you. The plane, however, also has the payoff of dodging it, of engaging in the little bit of a dance between your AA and his plane, because if he hits you, you're gonna die. It's literally high risk, high reward for both sides, which World of Warships is actually kinda lacking. Psst. Hey guys, if you want to support my channel, you can just leave a like, and if you want to see more videos about naval in general, both in War Thunder and World of Warships, feel free to also click the subscribe button. If you want to share your opinion about the games in general, or just want to ask a question, the comment section is yours as always. But it's not all just better. The slower pacing makes the gameplay more meaningful, but it's strength and a weakness. Because playing too many matches in War Thunder Naval will really get exhausting fast. Respawns stretch games out, and map design is still not as tight or intentional as in World of Warships. Sometimes when you respawn, you're basically just doomed to be sailing for 2 minutes or so before you get to actual action. And there is also something called a coastal fleet, which is something I don't really want to progress, because it's still very low BR with basically no payoff, and I don't know why it's even there to begin with. I'm still trying to figure it out, okay? If it's actually worth to go for it. So World of Warships is still a little bit easier to love, to get into, because World of Warships, you can play it all day. I can play it all day. The pacing, the maps, and the readability is just much more refined. You can see that they made the game into the intention of being able to play multiple games in a row, so if you fail in one, you can just hop on to the another. It's smoother experience, a little bit less demanding on your brain, which many players take to the opposite extent. So it is just more digestible. And even if wargaming is especially recently not going into the completely right direction, they still have quite considerable amount of time before they ruin the game enough for it to be worse than War Thunder Naval at the moment. Which brings me to another contrast, because in here we kinda need to take a look at the trajectory both games are going in. War Thunder feels like it's a little bit of an iteration. It adds top tier ships, it refines the mechanics, it gives more quality of life updates, and it fixes bugs. Since it's a pretty big game, it fixes a lot of bugs. Quite recently they've changed two things. For example, they automated the damage control to make it still have a lot of player agency, but not making you constantly have to think about what you need to repair. And they improved a little bit of low tier maps and general matchmaking on low tier, so many new players can actually have much better experience and get to match sooner. Meanwhile, wargaming in World of Warships often feels like they just try to add more and more layering mechanics to top of old problems, more of create a problem and then sell a solution. They also have much aggressive monetization, which is annoying for many people, especially when we're seeing something like Let's add this submarine that has an airstrike and it has homing torpedoes. And it's just gonna kill you. Or let's add this DD that is a gunboat but has good torpedoes and has an airstrike and has a smoke and has a hydro. That's also coming into this game, by the way. So to answer the big question, will War Thunder naval kill World of Warships? I don't think so, especially not anytime soon. World of Warships is still too polished, too accessible, and it's generally very low in terms of skill dependency and knowledge. But for the first time, I feel like it's becoming a real alternative. It's not just completely different game, it's just different philosophy of the same thing. So if nothing changes, if Wargaming is not gonna change the direction they are going, whilst Gaijin just keeps theirs, War Thunder might become a danger. It isn't knocking on the door yet, but you can definitely hear the footsteps in the hallway. For me, that's what makes this whole thing interesting. I'm still gonna make World of Warships content because I still enjoy playing that game. But I got myself into a new realm and I want to explore it. And exploring both sides is what's gonna keep me invested in more than just arcadey thing. Because comparison makes you enjoy what is the best in both sides. And also gives you ability to choose what you want. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been Senpai Silent. See you next time.